The journey begins with the artisan selecting a coconut shell from a pile of debris. He chooses one that already has a hole in the top, which will be perfect for the water flow. He carefully breaks off a portion of the shell to create a more manageable piece to work with. With a green marker, the artisan draws a line around the coconut shell, indicating where he plans to make the cut. This will serve as a guide for the next step in the process. Using a jigsaw, he carefully cuts along the line he just drew, creating a separate section of the shell that will be used later in the project. The precision of the cut is essential for ensuring a smooth and seamless final product. To refine the edges of the coconut shell, the artisan switches to a handheld sander. He starts by smoothing out the rough edges and then uses sandpaper to meticulously sand both the inner and outer surfaces of the coconut shell by hand. This step is crucial for achieving a polished and professional look. The artisan uses a grinder to cut some additional pieces of coconut shell, which will be used in the fountain's construction. For an even smoother finish, the artisan uses a red sanding disc grinder to work on the edges of the previously cut coconut shell piece. The grinder allows for more precise control and helps to create a seamless edge. Taking a separate piece of coconut shell, the artisan applies glue to its surface. He then carefully places another small coconut piece onto the glued surface, pressing it down firmly to ensure a strong bond. This piece will play a role in the fountain's construction later on. While applying glue, the artisan makes sure to use a sanding disc grinder to work on the edges of the coconut shell piece, ensuring a smooth and even surface. He then switches to applying glue to attach two pieces of the coconut shell together, creating the inner part of the fountain. Using a drill, the artisan creates a hole in the bottom of the coconut shell. This hole will serve as the opening for the water to flow through in the completed fountain. He applies glue to the inside of the coconut shell, then takes the section of the shell he cut earlier and positions it over the glue. The artisan makes sure to align the piece correctly, as it will form part of the fountain structure. He repeats this process until the inner structure is finished. Using his grinder, the artisan cuts a large piece from the coconut shell. To ensure a clean and neat finish, the artisan uses the sander to smooth out the edge of the coconut shell piece. This step helps to create a more refined and polished look for the final product. He applies glue to the edge of the coconut shell piece and carefully places it inside the coconut shell fountain, pressing it down firmly to ensure a strong bond. This is the final piece of the inner structure, which contains the fountain. The artisan smooths out the top edge of the other large coconut half with the grinder, creating a clean finish. This new piece will be the base of the fountain. He marks and drills a hole in the bottom of the smaller coconut half and then uses the grinder to smooth out the edges of the hole. He drills a hole in the side of the larger coconut half and glues it closed. The artisan then marks a line around the smaller coconut half where he plans to cut it. He cuts along the line on the smaller half using the grinder, applies glue to the base of the fountain, and then smooths out the edge with a sanding attachment. The artisan smooths out the bottom edge of the larger coconut half with the grinder, making sure it sits flush with the smaller half. He test fits the two halves together and then places the Ganesha statue to get an idea about the final fountain. The artisan uses the grinder to shape and smooth a small piece of coconut shell. He glues the small wood piece to the base for the statue and then applies glue to the inside of the coconut shell and the base to the top of the larger coconut half, finishing the base for the statue. The artisan then drills a hole through the coconut. Using the drill, the artisan creates two small holes in the side of the coconut shell. These holes will be used to insert a tube that will guide the water flow within the fountain. He inserts a clear plastic tube into the hole he just drilled and applies glue around the edges of the coconut shell where it is attached to the hose. This extra step helps to create a more durable and long-lasting fountain. The artisan uses the grinder to smooth a small coconut shell piece and then glues it into place on the top of the larger coconut half where the tube is inserted. The artisan applies a clear sealant to the exterior of the coconut shells, giving them a glossy finish. He rotates both the top and bottom halves to ensure complete coverage. Inside the top half of the coconut, he carefully applies glue to secure a small coconut shell piece, which appears to be a support structure for a component of the fountain. The artisan guides a black wire through a pre-drilled hole in the top coconut half and carefully connects it to a small LED light. He uses pliers to secure the connection and ensure it's properly attached. The top coconut shell is placed on a glass surface. The artisan inserts a small water pump into the bottom half of the coconut and feeds the pump's wire through the drilled hole. He also threads the LED light's wire through the same opening. He meticulously seals the point where the tube and wires enter the bottom coconut shell using hot glue, preventing any water leakage. Using a soldering iron, the artisan connects the wires from the pump and LED light to a small circuit board. He carefully wraps the exposed wire connections with electrical tape to insulate them and prevent short circuits. He heats the tape seals using a matchstick to ensure no current leaking in the connection. The artisan adds a finishing touch to the fountain by applying glue to the rim of the bottom coconut shell and then securely attaching the LED bulb plate. He focuses on the circuit board, using the soldering iron to connect wires and ensure all components are properly linked, and applying electrical tape to insulate them and prevent short circuits. The artisan uses cable ties to neatly bundle the wires together, enhancing the fountain's overall aesthetics. The artisan takes another coconut and begins preparing it for the fountain's circuit case. He uses the grinder with a sanding attachment to smooth the surface and then switches to a cutting disc to make a precise cut. He opens the coconut, revealing its interior, and discards the coconut meat. The artisan uses a red marker to mark a line where the top portion of both coconut shells will be cut off. He uses the grinder to cut, then further shapes and smooths the edges of the coconut halves, creating a case for the circuit parts of the fountain. He attaches the top and bottom halves of the coconut base together using glue, ensuring a secure bond. He uses the grinder to cut, then further shapes and smooths the edges. The artisan cleans the interior of the fountain and sticks the newly built coconut shell circuit cover using glue. Now the circuit and wires are covered, and a final polish spray is also added. Finally, he adds a piece of white stone on top of the LED panel, using glue to secure the stone to the coconut fountain. The artisan fills the base with water and plugs the fountain into an electrical outlet. The artisan turns on the water fountain. The water flows through the tube and over the pieces of coconut shells, creating a continuous waterfall. The blue LED lights illuminate the water. He places a small golden Ganesha statue inside the top portion of the fountain, completing the creation.